A man who feels no pain at all has been sent to Hong Kong's most brutal prison. What did they do to him there? Find out in our review of the film The Story of Ricky. A police bus arrives at the closed, heavily guarded prison. He parks near the main entrance, where prisoners are let out and their handcuffs are removed. The prisoners enter and line up. Among them is a handsome young man named Ricky. He's been sentenced to 10 years in prison for a particularly serious crime. They search him, and we see that this guy has a very strong, muscular body. He's a real fighter. The alarm goes off, and the guards assume Ricky has a gun. But he doesn't. He just has a few bullets lodged in his chest. We learn that this is the most secure prison in Hong Kong. No one has ever escaped from here. In the morning, the prisoners brush their teeth, and we see that the local elite, known as the Gang of Four, is present. Moreover, the more brazen prisoners bully the others. For example, a tougher prisoner breaks a wooden locomotive that another prisoner, nicknamed Old Man Ma, made for his child. And then he does the same to the poor guy's nose. A guard comes running, and the brazen prisoners claim Old Man Ma fell on his own. But retribution comes immediately. Someone trips the insolent prisoner, and he falls right onto a sharp piece of a broken toy. Ricky did it. They want to punish the guy, but when they see his crazy eyes, everyone immediately runs away. During the day, the prisoners play basketball. A brazen prisoner is brought breakfast. His blindfold makes it very difficult for him to eat or drink. The man decides to send his comrade, nicknamed Crazy Dragon, to deal with Ricky. The prisoner learns from a local guard that he's scheduled to be released from the detention center tomorrow. We see that the Crazy Dragon is a very fat, bald man with a crazed expression. Old Man Ma is denied parole. The man is very upset, as he dreamed of returning home to his family. That evening, one of the guards goes on his routine patrol and notices Old Man Ma. The poor man used a rope to end his suffering. Frightened by this sight, the guard falls down the stairs. The prisoners discuss this horrific event, and only Ricky stands in his solitary confinement cell, looking out the small window at the storm. Suddenly, he appears right in front of the guards carrying Old Ma's body. He removes the man's handcuffs and places a wooden locomotive in his hands. Then Ricky screams and beats his imaginary enemies. A group of prisoners are led into the bathroom so they can wash their clothes, take a shower, and use the toilet. Ricky is taking a shower when that same insolent sack approaches him. At that moment, a Crazy Dragon appears behind him. One blow, and Ricky flies into the wall. The guy gets to his feet and delivers a powerful blow to the fat man's stomach. The Crazy Dragon falls, and then the brazen Zack lunges at our hero. But Ricky handles him quickly and effortlessly. A heavily tattooed prisoner appears in the bathroom. This man is Oscar, one of the Gang of Four, and he intends to punish the boy for his insolence. Ricky is locked in solitary confinement, and the man experiences severe chest pain. However, despite everything, he even tries to meditate. The boy recalls his past. One day in a cemetery, he met a man who introduced himself as his ghost uncle. Ricky demonstrated his martial arts skills, but his uncle proved much stronger. One blow, and the boy fell to the ground. Ricky asked his ghost uncle to teach him everything he knew. The man immediately began his first training session. Explain that the essence of martial arts isn't just fighting, but also turning your body into a kind of shield. The ghost uncle made Ricky break and fend off tombstones flying at him. The man taught his nephew to endure any pain, even the most severe. But back to the present day. Ricky is sent to the assistant director of the prison. One of the man's hands is metal and has two hooks. He uses it as a fork. Ricky's file is read to the assistant director. The man shows the boy a letter he received this morning. Ricky wants to see the photo from the letter, so the director's assistant stabs him several times. Our hero endures the pain stoically and remains silent. He only looks at the photo of the girl from the letter. The thing is, it's his ex-girlfriend, Yang. Ricky breaks the table, deals with the security guards, and approaches the assistant director. He swings, but stops his fist right in front of his opponent's face. Ricky takes the girl's photo and walks away. In his cell, he stares at the picture for a long time and hides it in his bed. Ricky reminisces about his past. He and Yang were very happy together. One day, they were flying a small radio-controlled plane through the sky, and that's when he first confessed his love to her. A new day dawns. A group of prisoners decides to torment one of the other inmates. One of them even grabs a saw. The man begs for mercy, and the other prisoners argue over what to do with him. Ultimately, he survives. The assistant director asks Oscar, a member of the Gang of Four, to punish Ricky and even gives him a weapon. Oscar and Ricky meet at the stadium and immediately begin fighting. We see that they are both very experienced and strong fighters. But a problem arises. Oscar has a knife. A few blows and tear gas, and Ricky can't see a thing. Fighting in this state is impossible. But the guy is saved by cunning and the sewers. Ricky's sight returns and the fight continues. But not for long. Oscar is defeated, and the captain's assistant is furious. He calls for backup. 3 of the strongest fighters from other prison wards appear. However, this time, Ricky manages to avoid a fight. He finds Alan, Oscar's godson, on the stairs. The man is crying bitterly, and Ricky notices he has no tongue. The boy teaches the poor guy to play various musical instruments. The man smiles for the first time in a long time. He hands Ricky some leaves. 3 fighters from the Gang of Four gather together. They hand Alan a knife and demand that he get rid of Ricky to avenge his relative. Alan refuses, and they get rid of him too. The prisoners find what remains of Alan and discuss this horrific incident. Ricky appears and realizes he must punish those responsible for this crime. The captain's mate becomes enraged again. It seems there's some secret connected to these leaves. A fire breaks out in the West Wing. The cells containing the very plants whose leaves Oscar had are on fire. It turns out it was opium, grown right in the cells, and Ricky destroyed it. One of the 3 strongest fighters attacks Ricky and lands a very powerful blow. All the prisoners run to watch the fight. Ricky remembers his uncle's lessons and gets to his feet. Another enemy appears, and then another. Ricky suffers multiple wounds. At this moment, a combat alarm sounds. This is the order to return to your cells. Violation means execution. Everyone obeys the order. The cell containing Ricky and another prisoner is filled with liquid cement. Our hero gets rid of his enemy, kicks down the door, and drags him to the 2nd floor. The liquid cement dries, and Ricky literally turns into a statue. The next day, the prison director returns. Everyone awaits his arrival with anxiety and fear, even falling asleep from excitement. The director turns out to be an ordinary man in a business suit, glasses, and a hat. His son arrives with him, a fat kid in a funny suit who's constantly causing trouble and crying. We discover that the prison director is the owner of a large corporation that uses prisoners as cheap labor. He learns that all the opium has been destroyed and nearly suffers a heart attack. The director comes to Ricky, who is cemented in place, but our hero uses his muscles to tear the dried cement off. He grabs the director, but is immediately attacked by one of the 3 strongest fighters, nicknamed Tarzan. Ricky initially loses to his opponent, but our hero quickly regains control and dispatches his foe. Afterward, the ceiling of his prison cell collapses on Ricky. The boy tries to hold him down with his bare hands and succeeds. Then the director uses a stun gun, and Ricky falls to the floor. But he doesn't turn into minced meat because Tarzan saves him. It turns out the man is still alive. Taking advantage of the moment, Ricky escapes from his cell, only to fall into another of the director's traps. The next day, the prisoners gather around Ricky, who is tied up and sitting in a large pit. The director declares that our hero is to blame for all the prison's problems and demands that every prisoner throw a shovel of sand at him. Disobedience will result in execution. The prisoners do so, and soon our hero finds himself buried up to his neck. And then higher and higher. The prisoners worry about Ricky's fate. Will he survive? That night, the Gang of Four fighters shut off the small pipe that supplied our hero with oxygen. He remembers his beloved again. One day, Young witnessed a crime and was captured by a local gang. She tried to escape but fell from the roof. Ricky was desperate and vowed to avenge his beloved. He found the criminal gang that had kidnapped Yang and eliminated its leader. We return to the present day. A bulldozer arrives and digs up the tied-up Ricky. At first, it seems the boy shows no signs of life. However, this is not the case. He's alive. Ricky frees himself, but is immediately attacked by the 2 remaining Gang of Four fighters. The guys decide to execute him right there in the principal's office. He is tortured and tormented, but Ricky again heroically endures all the trials. At night, one of the prisoners sneaks into his cell. He brings him some food. The boy eats like a dog, still in chains. A new day dawns. The prisoner who brought our hero food is punished. An enraged Ricky breaks free from his cell. Seeing this, the other prisoners lynch the director's assistant. Guards arrive with batons and large shields, but the prisoners fight them off. Ricky is helping them, too. Meanwhile, the director is studying the prison menu and cutting down on the prisoners' rations. Furious Ricky appears, and the director immediately grabs his gun. Plus, two surviving fighters from the gang of Four show up. Once again, we see a brutal fight and incredible martial arts moves. And, of course, our hero defeats them all. Only the director remains. But he's not as simple as he seems and transforms into a huge monster, resembling something between a troll and an orc. He's a truly powerful opponent. But Ricky's no pushover either. He lifts the director and throws him into a massive meat grinder. It looks like the prisoners will finally have meat for dinner. Meanwhile, a prison riot breaks out, and Ricky breaks through a massive concrete wall. The path to freedom is open.